Hello, it's Rebecca from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Papermaze using the Simple Stories Cozy Days collection. And today I've decided to work with a cut file. This one is from Pear Tree Cut Files and it was one of the wonderful Wednesday freebies. And I've cut it on patterned paper, which is something I don't often do. But this is the B-side of the 2x2 elements sheet I've cut it on, which is it's like a brown paper with multicoloured florals and leaves over it, and it's super pretty. As patterned papers go, this one is quite busy. If I'm honest, it's probably too busy for me. So by using it to cut a cut file, it kind of breaks up the pattern a bit, so it doesn't seem so busy. I wouldn't use it as a whole sheet of paper, and I probably wouldn't even sort of use it to kind of tear in half and just use half at the top of a page or anything like that, because it is quite busy. But by using it for a cut file, I've made it work for me, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So I'm just taking some time to fussy cut the leaves out. So I've just used the cut file to draw around the leaf shapes on a green basil cardstock. This is one of the cardstocks from the Matchmaker pack, and I'm just going to back the leaves with that. I had a bit of trouble getting it to stick initially, and then I was trying to figure out which leaf went where. I think they were all the same size, so it didn't really matter in the end. I've used a glue pen to stick them. This is a new one and I'm having a bit of trouble with it. It doesn't seem to be as sticky as my previous ones. So I'm having to use it and then leave the leaf alone. If I try and pick the cut file up, the leaves just fall off. So I'm pressing it down with a bit of kitchen towel there, trying to get them to stick. But they finally did stick, so that's okay. I wasn't too sure where to place my photos, but decided to go sort of top right above my cut file there, and I've backed my photos off camera on white cardstock, and then I've mounted them on the same green basil cardstock that I've used for the leaves. Just going through some of the patterned papers now to see what I can use. This is, I think, my fourth or fifth layout with this collection. So I am fast running out of whole sheets of paper. So I think I've picked some things there from the sweaters and boots patterned paper, and I've fussy cut those out. And I think a couple of them were from the 2x2 elements. I think that fox and hedgehog are definitely from the 2x2 elements patterned paper. So I've just fussy cut those out to work as ephemera pieces, which is a great way to stretch a collection and get more out of it, especially that sweaters and boots patterned paper, because there was loads on that. So works great for creating some ephemera pieces. I've been through the bits and pieces journal pack and just picked a couple of things out from that I want to use on my layout. I also cut some leaf cluster shapes, again from Pear Tree Cut Files, but I cut them in the same patterned paper as the main cut file. So I'm going to try and work those in as well. So it's just playing around with placement of things there. And at this point I'm trying to decide if I want to put some mixed media on the background. I love the mustard colour, it goes really well with this collection, and I thought about using the same acrylic paint as I did in my last layout, but I wasn't too sure how I would apply it. I didn't want to completely paint the page, and I don't find the packaging technique works as well with acrylic paints. So I was trying to decide what to do, and in the end I remembered I had a small strip of that mustard checkered paper left. That's called Happy Falliday, and it's the B side. So I just tore a strip off each side just so that I had a more rugged, distressed edge there, and I'm going to layer that underneath my cut file across the centre of the page. And then I have a small amount of this sheet left. This is the Harvest Wishes, and it's the one I've been fussy cutting all the leaves from. I'm quite lucky, I've got 3 sheets of this, so I won't run out anytime soon. So I could afford to use some whole bits here, and I'm just doing the same, having a torn edge and just having it peeking top and bottom there behind that mustard coloured pattern paper. and that will just sit across the centre of my layout. I'm just sticking that down flat with double-sided tape. I like a lot of dimension on my layouts, and normally things like this I would at least prop one of those patterned papers up onto foam, but my plan is to use foam behind my photos and the letters on the cut file, so I didn't want too much dimension because it makes my albums really bulky and means I can fit a lot less in them. And if anybody's noticed lately, it's really hard to get hold of 12 by 12 albums, so especially the D-ring ones, so I need to try and get as many in each album as I can. So my patterned paper has gone down flat, and then my photos will be propped up on craft foam. At this point I'd realised that the acorns in my cut file were getting a bit lost against the backdrop of that patterned paper, so I'm just using a couple of the basil cardstocks from the Matchmaker pack just to back those, and they stand out a lot better now, so I'm a lot happier with those. I know my photos are definitely going to be placed on the top right hand corner there, so I get on with sticking those down and committing, and then that leaves me to work on the rest of my cut file and the embellishing. So as I mentioned, I'm going to prop the letters of the cut file up onto foam, so everything else I'm going to stick, well, the rest of the letters anyway, I'm going to stick down flat. So I'm using glossy accents just to make sure it definitely holds. I'm just going around the letters at this point. The acorns and the leaves I will use foam pads underneath to bring a little bit more dimension to the cut file, but the main bulk of it itself is going to be stuck down flat, and then I will replace the centre of each letter using foam pads. And I'm not backing them in a different colour, I'm going to use the same patterned papers. They were already cut for me from my silhouette, so it made life very easy. So it's just a case of applying foam pads to the back of each of the letters and then popping them back in, making sure that my U's went the right way around, because there's 2 U's in my title, so I had to make sure the patterns matched up. So you can see me there just applying the foam pads to the back of everything, and then I can come in and get those letters stuck back into place. Now on camera you can't really see the dimension, it just looks like I've got big chunky letters, but in real life you can see that the cut file is stuck down flat and the letters do have a bit of dimension, and it causes a nice little bit of a shadow underneath my cut file. So apologies you can't actually see it on camera, but I promise you the dimension is there. Now it's just a case of popping my embellishments into place where I want them and sticking those down. So I've got some of the fussy cut elements there going in the bottom right hand corner. Got mustard coloured jumper, which works well because in the photos my son has actually got a mustard coloured hoodie jumper on, so that worked perfectly. Some welly boots, again he's wearing welly boots, so that worked for me. And then there's a little hot drink, which works very well because by the time we'd finished in the woods I was freezing. We both went back home and I had a nice cup of tea and he had a lovely hot chocolate, so those worked really well for me. Then I've put the leaf cut files that I've cut out just at the top left of one of my photos there, and another one down the bottom just peeking out behind those green leaves. I've got the fussy cut fox down the bottom, and that little piece you see behind him with the acorn on is from the journal bits and pieces pack, and I'm going to use that to just write not so much journaling but just our location and date on it. And then these tags, I love these tags, they're from it's called tags obviously, patterned paper, and these are something I'm seeing a lot in Simple Stories collections lately. There seems to be one in every collection they release, and I'm really grateful for that because I love them. So one side is a complete patterned tag, and then on the reverse you've got the tags exactly the same, lined up perfectly, but on the reverse you've got just the top section of the tags are patterned, so they would work really well for journaling, but I've been using them as layers behind my photo like I've done here, and I really like how they look. For the last few layouts I've made with this collection, and I've used the tags, I've threaded embroidery threads through the top. So I thought I would do something a little different on this one, and I've used my gold metallic thread. And I'm just looping it through each hole several times so that I've got some loose hoops, sounds a bit weird, loose hoops at the top. It just adds a lot more interest and texture to the page, as opposed to having the embroidery thread again. Those word pieces you see there that I was trying to fit in, they were just fussy cut from one of the 2x2 elements cards on the pattern paper. I couldn't really make them work anywhere, so I ended up leaving those off. And then what am I, here, so I decided I wanted something top and bottom of the layout. It was looking a bit too white. So this is washi tape, and I'm not sure if it's from this collection or it might be from one of the farmhouse collections. I can't remember now, I'd have to go back and check. I'll pop it in the description box below if I can find it. But it matches the gingham pattern lovely, just obviously in a different colour. But this orange colour is featured in the patterned paper I used for my cut file, so I'm not introducing a new colour at all. It is already in the layout, so it worked really well. And I've just put some of the washi tape onto a piece of A4 card. Then I've cut a section out of my layout, top and bottom, and distressed the edges with scissors. And then I'm just filling in that gap with the washi sort of patterned paper that I've created there. Really simple to do, and I really like the effect it gives. It's just added a bit more of a pattern top and bottom, which kind of breaks up that space a bit, and I think it kind of frames the layout really nicely as well. I was really happy with it. Now just coming back in with my metallic gold thread and adding a couple of thread tangles to the left and right of my layout. And I'm not even sure what more I do. Right, these, yes. These are like little jewels. They're flat on one edge and they've got like a prism texture on the other, and they're gold, and I love these. So I've just scattered a few of those around my layout, and they're really super shiny as well, so they're really, really pretty. I'm just using glossy accents to stick those down, just to make sure they don't ping off once my layout goes into the album. And then I think that will be me finished. I did this layout a couple of weeks ago, and I don't normally wait this long to do voiceovers, but life's kind of got in the way at the moment, so it's been a while, and I've had to remind myself of how I actually made my layout. But yeah, that is me finished now. So thank you very much for joining me. Please do check out this collection in the Papermaze shop. There's still some of it available if you'd like it. Works perfectly for those autumn layouts if you've still got some photos to scrap before we get into the Christmas spirit. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll leave you with the close-ups. I'll see you next time.